afternoon. I am Alfredo Bravo. I work at the Office of International Relations of the Ministry of Health in Chile. And I was asked to make a presentation on the management of ORIS as the Offices of International Relations in Health of UNASUR in the context of the virtual course on diplomacy of health for South American integration. As I said at the beginning, I work since 1993 in this office in the coordination of international cooperation. At the beginning, and especially in cooperation and according to the reality in our country, we would take in more topics of international affairs that I will refer to later. As I said before, I have had almost 6 governments in this position of different political viewpoints, these governments. The next slide now. I would like to tell you about the experience of the Chilean case, as I've been working in this position for quite a few years now, and the specific Chilean case that has to do with a very small team and office and a heavy workload. For that reason, we have searched manners of organizing the work in order to present a management allowing us to provide good results and achievements in all the demands. We have we are three people only, and the characteristics of this team is continuity throughout time, governments pass, and the technical staff continues working, and only the heads are changed, which is a political position. Policies or politics is present in these organizations, as I will explain later. Other important aspect. This team, it's an experienced team. We have been able to see the mutation of cooperation according to the economic reality of the country, and we've seen the increase in the number of international forums, and we've been training throughout time too. I will refer now to the context. ORIS is an international device in the Ministry of Health in charge of materializing the policy of international relations of the government in the area of health. This device has that purpose. We are in the chart flow. We are linked to the Minister of Health, and we are international staff. Another element to explain this is that the 4-year term in Chile without re-election. You will see why I say this. And ORIS must interact and face multiple demands, regional integration, cross-bordering agreements, international cooperation, funding, and so on. Basically, in very red line, this is the business that we have if we want to assimilate it to other concepts. The management is the action that together with others we carry out to achieve or resolve a certain question. the management model that we have to provide a response to these multiple demands with a reduced team. There is a growing demand, and we have to comply with the team we have available. The idea that we have is to have a focus of the multiple activities with the scarce resources available in order to have a navigating chart. Is the map that we use to move on and not to waste resources in actions that have nothing to do with our chart. And we always take into direction the ultimate purpose. In this context, we have two elements to build this navigation chart. This navigation chart, we do it every 4 years according to the priorities of the governments. As ORIS, we are functional to the political powers, and we have to be available to the requests of the government, and all that we do responds to the requirements and the needs of the government in this area. This we have to take into consideration. I think it's the same in all the countries. And as we are transparent and we speak frankly, we may organize better. We may get better organized, let's say. In the context of the sectoral policy, in this case is OCAI, is the Office of Cooperation. We have the Program of Government in Health from 2014 to 2018. We also have another important activity that goes beyond the government, which is the National Health Strategy from 2011 to 2020. And we also have the goals of sustainable development, number 3, health, that our country follows. In the context of international relations, we have the principle and interests of the Chilean foreign policy. This is a document that all the governments issue referring to the relationships with the different countries and regions worldwide, the priorities, the relation with bordering countries, and how will resources be used. And also have a policy and strategy of international Chilean cooperation for development, which is a declaration of principles of all the governments when they take office, in order to be able to see the activities in the area of cooperation. This means the budgets in cooperation in charge of the government of Chile for development, and also it's like a wide book. That means to say these actions are coordinated. They are not isolated. We also have to mention that cooperation and international cooperation is not naive. All the countries cooperate having a political sense. There is something they wish to achieve. Altruist cooperation is very rare. There is always something to do with hegemony, political interests, trade interests. In the Chilean case, we manifest that through our policy. We see the coordination with different areas of our Foreign Affairs Office by multilateral borders, coordinations with the Chilean Agency of International Cooperation for Development and the Group of Global Health, which is a group that we have in our Foreign Affairs Office. We have health, other situations in order to see the position of the country regarding, for example, free trade agreements, medicines, that and also all that refer to global health that must be addressed not only by one sector but by several sectors. These two axes, the sectoral one, health, and the activities involving foreign affairs, they have a strategic planning that we do every 4 years. This strategic planning is based in the parameters that are provided by the government, and we try that our management achieves all the goals and the lines of work. We try to avoid isolated actions that have no impact. The strategic planning also make us review our mission and vision every 4 years. It may be modified, amended according to the new government in office. In the strategic planning that we carried out for this period ending in 2018, because our strategic goals were to contribute the achievement of health objectives, materialization of foreign policy of the government in the area of health, and contribute to position the country in the global context and international context. This is in great lines. We also have concrete actions, and we have a breakdown of indicators and so on. After the conclusion of this administration, we have an evaluation, and we have the results that are given to the next administration, and then we have another strategic planning according to the new concepts of the new administration. In this case, the ORIS are a tool, an international cooperation device to serve the government. I understand that all the countries do the same. It is very good to say this and explain this in order to have all our actions aligned. In this area of management, I already said how we get organized. We have a reduced team, again, to organize the management of our office. And we need to mention the necessary duties and qualifications of the members of the staff. In our Foreign Affairs Office, Ministry, we have here the course of diplomacy and protocol that the Ministry provides through the Chilean Academy of Diplomats, and we have asked for some vacancies. It is also very interesting the workshop of diplomacy in health and international organizations by the PAHO, and also the language course. It's a continuous process because this is a fundamental qualification to work in this area of ORIS. And now we also have happily the course on diplomacy of health of the ISACs, and we hope that in the future we will have regular courses of the ISACs in order to add it to the tools that will improve our abilities in order to get more developed. I would also like to mention the lessons learned throughout the years. As I said at the beginning, I was lucky enough to see the evolution of international cooperation in the area of health, especially in Chile. And since the year 1997, we saw the difference. In the year 90, we have a vertical cooperation. We were a country receiving cooperation from the north, especially in terms of money. And we have this in infrastructure and equipment. Cooperation, as I said, is not naive. In the 90s, we were used to receive, for example, equipment and vehicles that came from a certain country, so we were obliged to buy spare parts of the same trademark. In the 90s also, the acceptance of soft credits of the World Bank appeared. Since the year 97, we were able to see a transformation which was very important in terms of cooperation. We were no longer a country receiving vertical cooperation, and we began to provide cooperation, but not in money, but in technological transference. We started to follow processes in other countries as a moral imperative of having received a lot of help after we regained democracy. A fundamental reason of this change that starts in the year 97 is that our country starts to have GNDP which was quite high, and therefore we wouldn't receive cooperation. So we started to provide cooperation, and this changed our office, cooperation and projects, and it became an office to provide technological transfer and knowledge. We started to provide support, monetary support to countries in need. Chile started to have funds available for other projects. For example, the Chilean-Mexico Fund, Canada, Australia. These are two countries that became partners in order to help countries with less developed countries. So there is a higher fund with the grants from one country and another. Also, we have triangles with northern countries, especially Europe and Asia, in which the country of the north provided the money and we provided the technical capabilities to assist third countries. And also we have the South-South Cooperation Funds of the Development Agency from Chile, and we were able to fund and cover cooperation that were less developed. Since 1997 onwards, this has been the agreements in the area of cooperation that we've had, and also our ORIS. At this time, cooperation represents 30% of all the activities. The rest, 70%, has to do with international forums, which means the participation of our ministry in the number of forums that we have. We also are members of AMEC, OMDE, and we have several TLC implying a large amount of resources and people that we must apply to be able to provide a response to all the requirements and demands. As the learned lessons in international cooperation, we believe that it's necessary that we need to share as models of hospitals, co-funding of the Chilean Cooperation Agency, especially to cooperate in knowing to do, transfer of technology. Triangle cooperation was very successful too, and also the Hampton-Pajo method for technical cooperation. This is a tool that we were able to learn and was very useful in the case of priorities and trying to use the human resources that we have in our ORIS in the best manner possible. The institutionality of cooperation is very important in the sense that we have helped countries with weak institutionality, and that is the area in which we have to cooperate. And that means to say in institutionality. Also, information systems are vital for working in cooperation with third countries. Strategic planning is also fundamental, and also this is an area in which we have cooperated so that other countries may get more developed, and also training and qualification. Important aspects are the networks, professionals involving professionals. Our specialty is the development of cooperation in technical areas. We have a pool of professionals that have to be experts in different areas. This is very beneficial to have the right people, and visibility is also a requirement that ministries of foreign affairs require, because cooperation is not naive, as I said. The most important thing is the importance of cooperation. This is an activity that is in charge of the ORIS and must be in charge of the ORIS in order to convince authorities. In the case the minister have to know what the importance of cooperation, linking that activity with international relations, activities of the government. Therefore, it is a fundamental work of the ORIS so that the heads of the ministries are aware of the relevance, and in addition the participation in multilateral forums. This has been my presentation. I hope that it's useful for all those that wish to have a model or a manner to organize the ORIS in each country. Thank you very much for your attention, and good afternoon.